Hey everybody, this is Damian. Welcome back to the StudioProMusica online guitar learning system. Today we're going to learn a very basic skill, and that's how to tune our guitar. We can play as well as anybody. If our guitar is out of tune, it's not going to sound very good. So we need to learn how to tune our guitar properly. You may remember from our basic terminology video that we name musical notes after letters from the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There are only 7. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so each of the strings needs to be tuned to a certain note. Okay? Now your accompanying materials with this lesson, you have your tuning chart. And if you look at your tuning chart, it says 1 E, 2 B, 3 G, 4 D, 5 A, and 6 E. Remember too, this is also covered in the basic terminology video, that when we say the first string, we're talking about the highest pitch string. And we say the 6th string, we're talking about the lowest pitch string. Okay? So what we're saying is that this first string needs to be tuned to what we call an E note. And again, looking at your diagram, the second string needs to be tuned to what we call a B. Third string has to be a G. Fourth string has to be a D. Fifth string has to be an A. And the low string, the 6th string, has to be an E. There might be a part of your brain that's saying, well, wait a minute, I thought the first string was an E. How can the 6th string also be an E? They don't sound anything alike. They actually do. They really are both E notes. Just kind of take it on faith for right now. We're going to call one high E, the other one low E. But if that kind of jams your brain up a little bit, just try to be aware. The answer will become clear the more we play. It's just not that important right now. Okay? So we have E, B, G, D, A, E from the first string to the 6th string. Or if you like, from the 6th string to the first string, we have E, A, D, G, B, E. I'm emphasizing this because I want you to be really clear. Which string is the first string? Which string is the second string? Which string is the 5th string? Which string is the 6th string? Etc. Okay? And if it helps you remember it at all, you can come up with all kinds of silly acronyms, silly mnemonic devices to help you remember the notes that we're going to tune each string to. One of my favorite, I like it so much I even put it on your sheet, is when we go from the 6th string to the first string, E, A, D, G, B, E, we say something like Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. And of course, that's E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay? So those are the notes. Okay? And again, if you look at your diagram, you're going to notice that I've enclosed a little diagram of a guitar fretboard. And if you remember from the basic terminology video, I pointed out to you that the nut of the guitar, this guy right here, this little white piece right here, is a very handy reference point. And the nut is that bold-faced line on your guitar chart. It's indicated by that bold-faced line. And you'll see above the nut, we're showing E, A, D, G, B, E. And below the diagram, we're pointing out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And of course, the vertical lines in your diagram represent the strings. And if the vertical lines in your diagram represent the strings, guess what the horizontal lines represent? Well, of course, they represent the frets. First fret, second fret, third fret, etc. Okay? So there we go with the diagram and we understand that this low 6th string has to be an E note. We understand that this 2nd string here has to be a B note, okay? That being the case, how are we going to get the guitar in tune? Well, of course, we understand these are the tuning pegs up here. Again, that was covered in the basic terminology video. Tuning pegs. And you can imagine if we tighten the string, we're going to raise the pitch. If we loosen the string, we're going to lower the pitch. So here's one of these wonderfully idiosyncratic things about guitar. If you look at my acoustic guitar, there are 3 tuning pegs on this side of the head and 3 tuning pegs on this side of the head. Just try to memorize this. I won't even try to get into why they do this. To raise the pitch, to tighten the string, on this side of the head, I'm going to turn the tuning peg away from me, away from me. On this side of the head, it's the exact opposite. I'm going to turn it towards me, towards, like that, to tighten, okay? This side of the head covers strings 6, 5, and 4. And if you remember from our basic terminology video, I recommended you just take your finger along the string and just follow the path of the string, and you see, oh yeah, the 6th string leads to this tuning peg right here. The 5th string leads to this tuning peg right here. The 4th string leads to this tuning peg up here. And then similarly, the 3rd string leads to this tuning peg right here on the opposite side at the top. The 2nd string leads to this tuning peg right here, opposite side in the middle. And then the 1st string leads to this tuning peg right here, opposite side, closest to the neck. Okay? So on an acoustic guitar, string number 6, string number 5, string number 4, string number 3, string number 2, string number 1. Okay? If you're playing electric guitar, your life's a tiny bit easier. I'm going to put my acoustic guitar down and grab my electric. Well, what do you notice? The tuning pegs are all on the same side of the head. And that means to get my electric guitar in tune, I will turn every single tuning peg away from me to tighten the string, or towards me to loosen the string. Again, tightening the string raises the pitch, loosening the string lowers the pitch. But I'm going to put my electric guitar back, grab my acoustic again. All right. Tiny bit more terminology. When a string is a little bit too tight and the pitch is too high, we say that the note is sharp. Sharp. When a string is too tight, the pitch is going to be too high, and we're going to say that the note that is sounding is sharp. Or if a string is too low, string is too loose, the pitch will be too low, we're going to say that the note is flat. Okay? Too high, string is too tight, sharp. Too loose, pitch is too low, flat. Okay? And that being the case, now, how are we going to get our guitar in tune? There are a lot of different ways to do it. You can go to another instrument that you know is in tune, like a piano, and you can say, hey, pianist, give me an E, and then you try to match by ear, you try to match the pitch. The pianist hits a note and it's bong, and you try to match it up. But when you're a beginner, and frankly, even when you're an experienced player, that's good to be able to do, but it's really not completely necessary, okay? And it can be difficult to do. In the old days, people used to have pitch pipes, and you would blow into the pitch pipe, and there would be 6 pitch pipes, one for each string of the guitar, and you would try to use your ear again to match the pitch that way. But that's a bit of an old-fashioned way. In the modern era, many people, not everyone, but many people use some kind of a tuning device, okay? Some guitars have tuners built into them. My Martin here does. You can have an electronic tuner that you plug a cable into. That's fine too. You can have a tuning app in your phone or your tablet. I use one called Guitar Tuna. Get it? Tuna. That one works very, very well. But what I really like to use is this little guy that's clipped onto the head of my guitar right here. There are a lot of different companies that manufacture so-called clip-on tuners. I use one by this company called Snark, but you can use whichever one you want to, okay? And what you do is you simply flip it on, and when you hit a note, it tells you if the note is too high or too low or just right, and then you just adjust accordingly. Right now, my Snark clip-on tuner is actually showing me that my low E is very slightly too high. It is sharp. The string is too tight. So I'm just going to loosen it ever so slightly by turning it towards me. And let's see, now I'm pretty close to being in tune. And now I'm in tune, okay? With a Snark tuner, if you're not quite at 12 o'clock on the display, it'll show red, and that means you're too flat, you're too low. If you're past 12 o'clock on the display, it'll show yellow, and that means you are sharp, you're too high. The string is too tight. And if you're just right, it'll show right at 12 o'clock, and the color that it shows will be green. But different tuners do it different ways. I don't want to say, well, Snark, the way my Snark tuner does it is that way for every single tuner. But pretty much by experimenting with whatever tuner you happen to get, if you do end up buying one, you'll see generally it'll be sort of a circular display, and 12 o'clock will mean in tune, and kind of behind 12 o'clock will mean too low, and past 12 o'clock will mean too high. But again, electronic tuners are sort of their own thing. Everyone does it a little bit differently. You just have to play around with it a little bit. Whichever one you end up buying, you know, learn exactly how the display operates, okay? But in a nutshell, that's how we tune our guitar, okay? E, A, D, G, B, E. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? We'll see you next time for the final introductory video, and then we're going to start learning to play some music, all right? Have a great day. Have fun. We'll see you soon. Okay, so here I've got a close-up of my Snark tuner, and to demonstrate what the display looks like, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to hit the low E string. And you can see the Snark is telling me that my low E string is in tune. The LED on the display goes directly to the center position, or you might say the 12 o'clock position, and it's showing me green. Now, just to show you what it looks like if it's not in tune, I'm going to loosen the string by turning the tuning peg towards me. And what do we see? Well, we're not at the 12 o'clock position anymore. We see the light is kind of down in this corner. We're not at the 12 o'clock position anymore, and we're showing red. So the string is too low. It is not quite up to, or you might say to the left of, the 12 o'clock position. So we're too low, and we need to tighten the string to raise the pitch. Now, if I tighten it too much, raise the pitch too much, you see it goes into the yellow, and it is past the 12 o'clock position. Past the 12 o'clock position. So I've got to loosen it just a bit. And it might take a few tries to get it right at the 12 o'clock position. So I keep working it. Very, very small turns. I don't want to overshoot my mark. But yeah, there we are now in the 12 o'clock position showing E. And then, of course, I would go on to the next string, the next string, the next string, and so forth, tuning each string individually. So there's one last issue we may run into, which is basically, what if my guitar is really out of tune? So far, we're trying to get an E note to be the correct intonation, whether it's a little flat or a little sharp. So when I turn on my tuner and I hit my E note right now, yeah, it's an E, and you can see it's quite flat, but it's still an E. But what happens if my guitar is so out of tune, so low, let's say, that it's not even giving me an E, it's actually giving me a D, and it's got some kind of number sign next to it, which of course means D sharp, but we're not too concerned with that right now. Bottom line is I don't see an E here. What do I do then? Well, what I'm going to do is think of the musical alphabet. And as we know from the basic terminology video, as we get higher, our letters are going forward in the musical alphabet. So pitches are going up when I go A to B to C to D to E, going forward in the musical alphabet. And correspondingly, when I'm going backwards, F to E to D to C, my pitches are getting lower. Well, if I'm on a D, some kind of a D, and I need to get to an E, I need my pitches to go higher. I need to go forward in the musical alphabet. That means I need to go higher. So I'm going to turn the tuning peg away from me to raise the pitch. And look, there's my E. Now it's still out of tune, but there's my E. There we go. And just to give you another example, what if I'm so high that when I hit, I see, oh gosh, there's an F. That's not an E at all. That's an F. What am I going to do about that F note? Well, I need to go backwards in the musical alphabet. And to go backwards, to go from F to E, I need to lower my pitch. So I'm going to turn the tuning peg towards me to loosen the string, to lower the pitch. And there's my E. Now it's still off the mark. I need to adjust it some more. That'll take a little while. But pretty much right about there is going to be my E, and it's going to be in tune. Last thing, by the way, you might wonder, kind of a cool thing, how when I'm not playing on guitar, the tuning device, my snark here, is reading all kinds of different pitches. It's because it's reading subtle vibrations on the guitar, and it's also hearing my voice. And of course, my voice is producing a vibration at a certain pitch, and the tuner is kind of picking up on some of that. So as my voice goes up and down, the tuner is kind of interpreting it. Just a fun little point. But there we are, and that is how to tune your guitar. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.